What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Deviant Gentleman Podcast. My name is Shane Vitko, alongside my Uncle Tom co-host, Mr. Tommy Vext.
My name is Uncle Tommy Vext. Nice to see you. Welcome, everybody.
Damn. Well, let's not fuck about and waste any time. Last week, you made somewhat of a controversial video that went viral that we have labeled here at Deviant Gentleman, Markergate 2020.
Markergate 2020, yes.
So, talk to me. Why'd you make the video? You regret it? You stand by what you said?
Why did I make so anybody tuning in? Obviously, you guys saw the marker video that was posted last Monday on Instagram, and I basically, I look up conspiracy theories. I like to get alternative information because I don't really. It's hard to trust the mainstream media because all the mainstream media platforms consistently do is give misinformation.
Right.
I mean, it almost feels like believing the news is believing conspiracy theories.
Yeah. I believe Sesame Street more.
Yeah.
It's pretty educational.
It is, and it's not biased. So anyway, I was at my buddy. It was last Sunday after we left filming. I went to my buddy Matt's house, and his kids. I was explaining in a diagram with markers about a conspiracy theory, which had to do with the Black Lives Matter movement, who owns it, where the money goes. And, the people and companies who own the media who are also making money. And, and I posted the video. And this is the thing. A lot of people got really upset because I made...
Who got most upset? Black, white, both?
I think people who are liberal were most upset. It's really across the board. And to be honest with you, I got probably like 50,000 messages that were positive for every 10 negative ones. And so there's a thing called the Trojan horse effect. And so anybody who knows a Trojan horse story is
Greek mythology. Look it up.
Yeah. And so basically the two sides of there are two empires that are at war, and so one empire sends this Trojan horse and as a gift, and it's this big wooden horse, and they're like and then the emperor brings it in, and then but inside the horse are soldiers, and they come in and they like kill everybody and take over the town. So the Trojan horse remark was, racism is fake, it's not real, and it's not manufactured, and we don't have a problem with race in this country, which is not true. And we've talked about it on the show. And so those people who know me know my stance on that. However...
Wait, so are you saying that that's what you used to get the information?
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
Okay.
And so the conspiracy theory that the DNC...
Which I must say, that's smart. That's a very good chess move.
Sure, but it was also self-crucifying.
Right,
so I had to be prepared for the shitstorm, and we'll get into what that shitstorm was. Right. And it was like the cancel culture, they came after me for 100%.
Right.
So in order to... So the Trojan horse...
Tommy was looking at properties in Kenya.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Anyway, people told me to go back home. So basically... when you deal with the media, if there's no headline to quote that can cause controversy and hysteria, they won't pick it up.
Right.
So basically the marker diagram explains in detail how the Black Lives Matter movement accepts donations. The money that goes into Black Lives Matter goes to the DNC, goes to Act Blue, which is a Democratic funded company. It also came out yesterday, Candace Owens dropped the bomb that they're not even a 501c3. I've had a 501c3 that's a nonprofit organization. I started one many years ago. I ran it for about a year with my partner.
Does BLM claim to be a nonprofit?
I don't know, but the thing is, it's a private company. So they're accepting money. They got $1 million from Jordan and like $3.4 million from Cisco, the cooking oil, and there's all these weird shit that's coming out. And you're like, where is the money going? And it's all going to the DNC. And so
for campaigns.
Yeah, and so when you when you realize the movement is being pushed and exploited, and then there's also the Antifa effect, which now, CNN is trying to say that Antifa doesn't exist and that Trump made it up and all this. It's like the president of the United States made up this thing, which there are like hundreds of thousands of videos of these militarized white dudes infiltrating peaceful protests and escalating them. I saw it happen in Santa Monica. You know what I mean? I mean, this is how closely it affected me. I cleaned up the riots. They shot a police officer on my corner. Right. So I'm living in this. So anyway, the whole point was there was this whole affront where the people who are funding the movement and also installing instigators, and then we're also the people who are making money off putting it on the news, because it all goes to a leftist agenda. So, if you did that, nobody would listen to you. So I basically made a completely unfounded remark towards the end in order to incite the outrage.
Which was that racism doesn't exist.
No, yeah, and racism obviously exists. I mean, you're an ex-white supremacist, and you know what I'm saying? I grew up in Brooklyn, and trust me, I know what's up.
And
go ahead.
So what I was going to say was, since doing this podcast with you, it's opened my eyes to a lot of things, and I've started to think. Doesn't mean that I have to agree with everything you say, but we were just talking about prior to the show about that I've never really been invested in an election ever or gave a fuck. It's not that I was ignorant, I was just indifferent. I didn't really see how it affected me.
Oh, me too.
And one thing that I realized, because I've done some research lately on white supremacy and racism, and I still know where to find these hate groups and all that shit. And what I realized is that I wasn't a white supremacist, I was a racist. Because I feel the white supremacy thing is like this movement, kill, eradicate, this is what we want. I was just like, oh, you're a different color? You're this. Fuck you. Fuck that. Fuck this. So I'd like to retract in the fact of saying I was never a part of a group. I was never A, B, any of that shit. I was just a racist asshole.
Yeah. And that's the thing. And it's a learned behavior. And the other thing that we also, that I want to talk about is the term racist. So there are many different terms. There's white supremacist, there's racist, there's prejudice, right? And prejudice are people, to me, if you're racist, you hate other people for the color of their skin.
Color, religion, whatever.
Yeah. And so prejudice is like having a predisposition to judging somebody because of these certain things, but it doesn't necessarily mean you hate them or look down on them.
Right.
It's like someone being like, oh, Asian people can't drive, or like, Jewish people do this, or like black people do this. There's like all these stand-ups.
I hate heavy metal because Tommy Vext from Bad Wolves said racism doesn't exist.
Yeah, basically.
That's me being prejudiced.
I guess, yeah. So we've I think in this current political climate, we have addressed, we've renegotiated the word racism. And basically what I've seen, and again, I was a Democrat my whole life, and I was raised that way, and I believed that the Democratic Party was the party that represented the people. And over the past few years, like as I've done research as an adult, that is a dubious falsehood. So, and not to say that the Republican Party is squeaky clean and great either, but in the face of all the happenings going on, there is an actual, it seems like this year has been all randomness and nonsense. But if you learn to look at what the agenda is and what's going on, you start putting together the pieces, and you're like,
so random.
It's not random at all, and we're on a schedule.
Right.
And so
COVID's supposed to hit again twice as high.
Yeah, there'll be some more things. And, it's like I told everybody, remember the 9th of September, because there's a very important political figure who's going on trial that day. And there's going to be a massive
distraction.
Colluded distraction,
right.
And so when you start to pick up this stuff, you start realizing something's going on. Now, however, racism is a term that they use to mute anyone who has if you're a moderate, a libertarian, or conservative. So if you have anything, or if you're a Democrat with conservative leanings,
right,
you're not allowed to say anything against the narrative that's being pushed by the mainstream media. And it's for a reason. It's because everything's owned by the same people. And, you know, I got muted and I was, I was threatened to be completely deplatformed. And I can't name names or say things, but.
Well, that's what you took the video down. Do you want to get into?
No, the video was flagged and taken down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the video was
because
off
off of your page, because it's still being shared from other people that picked it up, or is it completely?
No, it's being shared. It's just, but people ripped it and reposted it, and it's
Right.
probably hard to like find
Keep
out.
track of
Yeah,
it,
so at the source of things, it's like mine is off, and I'm bottlenecked, and you know it's crazy because when I posted it, I was like, there are two things that came to mind. I was like, people are gonna get upset. I'm definitely gonna lose like, 100,000 followers over this, and I lost like 5,000 to 10,000, but I gained about 46,000 followers, and that just shows that there are people who are not willing to listen to the media anymore, and that after COVID and the riots, which the protesting and the riots were completely contradictory to the pandemic that has kept us on an acquiescence house arrest.
Right.
We have all just accepted, and I've criticized COVID the whole time, right? And that was like forbidden. And people, my own friends, were like, grandma killer, like, and then dude, over the past 2 weeks, there was a document that over 1,000 doctors signed saying that it's important to go out and have these protests as long as you're protesting for Black Lives Matter, but you cannot protest the lockdown order. What kind of? And then the news posted this, and it's like they've become so emboldened, and I think that the issue is like the problem is the punishment of every liar is that they can never truly see the truth, and that's where we're at. And the pendulum has swung so far in the other direction that even a lot of my diehard liberal friends are like, I'm not with this anymore.
Yeah.
And like we can't not talk about Trump, right?
Well, hold on. Before you get into Trump,
Okay.
with this whole thing, right? Because I wonder about celebrities and people that have status, or people whose voice, like, I mean, the reality is that if I post this video on Instagram, or if you post this video on Instagram, you're obviously going to reach more people. So, but have people said to you, Tommy, why take this approach? Why not just be a fucking rock star and be good at being rock star? Like, do you feel like you're doing this because you have a platform to reach people and people need to understand this?
I said what I said because, okay, so this is why I put the video out, and I knew I was going to get crucified, and I knew I had to say certain things in order for it to go viral. And unfortunately, I rolled the dice. And, in large part, the most important thing for me was that in the African American community, and as an African American, it needed to be put out there in a way that people could understand that Black culture, the Black community, and Black outrage is being used as a political pawn in this year of election. And it doesn't take away from police brutality. It doesn't take away from the lack of judicial reform that we require. It doesn't take away from the industrialized prison complex, which vilifies and destroys African Americans, especially African American men. It doesn't do any of that. If anything, as I recognize those things to be an issue, it makes me more angry as an African American to watch an entire community and culture of people being preyed upon and used to push to the front line to create this social disorder and this lawlessness out of our own pain from the history that we have and the collective African American pain body. It's like the psychological group pain body. And so if I get vilified and people think I'm an asshole and I get excommunicated and whatever, but millions of people think, well, it's worth it.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
I agree.
I don't
think
care
that's
about celebrity.
I know you don't. And which is one of the reasons why we're friends. But I think that's the thing, dude, is like I said, I mean, I had so many people in my family or that I just know that well, like, if anything else, it made people think. And I think
In a
we
ti-
don't
in a
think for ourselves. We watch CNN,
in a
we watch
time,
MSNBC, and
yeah,
whatever you
and we
tell
watch
me,
and
I'll
we
do.
watch Fox too, which is
Yeah.
completely conservative, which has its own bias.
But
you
it's
know?
like that thing we just talked about earlier too that you shared about if they came out on the news and said that COVID affects you, your only safety is from 3 feet off the ground, that people would be on skateboards
Yeah, and
pushing
they would be
themselves around, fucking
if they
low
said,
crawling to the fucking
if they
store.
said COVID only was airborne and it only lived 3 feet above the floor, people would be crawling around like in the military, like in
and
a
have
gunfight.
fucking
They'd have
elbow pads on.
Yeah, and then we'd be buying elbow pads instead of masks.
Exactly. So Trump.
I mean, look, like this
Know
is
who hates Trump right now?
Everybody.
The transgender community.
Oh, what did he do now?
Something about if you transgender or abortion is not something in healthcare. They're not. I don't know, something. I can't pretend that I know, but I have friends that are transgender, and I've been seeing them post that he passed some bill about that they are not.
Oh no
able to.
I know. Okay, so yeah, so it's not about. So this is what it was. I read this, and then it was taken out of context, and I read what it is. So there was a bill passed that allowed, if you're a Christian adoption agency, and that's your religion, you're allowed to turn down adopting out children from that agency to transgender or gay. Now, which I think that's shitty. I think it's shitty. However, if it was, we live in a time where, like, if it was a Muslim adoption agency, no one would say anything about it.
Right.
But, Christianity is considered not cool and right-wing. And so it's widely criticized. And the reality is that if you want to adopt, I'm adopted. If you want to adopt a baby, I didn't know that. See, we got something in common. So if you want to adopt a kid, then there's so many, the underserved communities have so many kids that are up for adoption.
Well, they spend so much time.
Yeah, and they could have such an amazing life.
Yeah.
And I've got gay friends that adopted kids.
Yeah.
I've gay and lesbian
I
friends
think all
who
that
had
matters
kids.
is the background and what's going on. Do you work? Is it a stable environment? This and that.
Yeah.
Cool. You like to fuck donkeys on the weekend? Here's a kid.
Yeah, I mean, look. There's a lot of adopted kids would do better in families that are transgender, gay, or lesbian than alcoholic drug addicts.
Fucking right.
And I know that for a fact. You know what I mean? So that stuff like that gets twisted up. Do I agree with it? Do I agree with, like, does that Christian organization have a right to deny? Yeah,
But it should be a right to deny anything. It should just be like, here's the parent and here's the statistics, and then you decide based on that.
Yeah,
I mean,
so it gets so basically, like, the media is after Trump, so they're like, how can we make this into a story and make it upsetting? And the thing is too, like, so the interesting thing about Donald Trump is that never in the history of any president has so much money been spent to make a person who pretty much is a jerk off look like more of a jerk off.
right.
Like, it's like,
I mean, they make him real easy to despise and hate. Yeah.
Yeah. He plays into this stuff too. So, I have no idea. I don't hate Trump. I don't particularly like him. Like, I don't really, and I don't know him, right? But whenever there's a lot of people attacking one person, I always am like, wait, why? I'm the kid who, like, if someone was getting jumped, I don't even care who's on the floor getting kicked. I run in and start punching people because it's not fair.
Right.
So, and then, the guy is like, he's 74, 5 years old. Like, they're like, he's like a grandpa. He's like an old, rich, white grandpa. So it's easy to not like that guy. Like, he's like, and
a lot of the things that get pulled up is like, in 85 and 94, he said this. And it's like, well, yeah, okay. We can go check what I did in 94.
Well, that's the thing, too, is, like, to be honest with you, like, I'm going to be completely transparent. Like, just because the Trump drama is so unbearable, I was willing to vote for Joe Biden until Joe Biden said on Charlemagne the God's morning show that if you don't vote for me,
You're not a real black
you're
person.
not even black.
Yeah. So does that mean if I do
But
vote
check
that I
this
get
out.
to be black?
I don't know. Well, you got to
Fucking
ask
A,
him,
dude. I
So-
can say the N word.
So that's the thing. So and then a few days later, cue the race riots. I mean, Joe Biden lost the black vote in one sentence, in one of the most racist things a presidential candidate has ever said in modern history. I'm like, dude, how could you say that? You were the vice president to Barack Obama. Like, oh my God, bro.
Right.
And he keeps saying dumb shit. I mean, the dude's out to lunch. And so my question is that for all my friends who hate Trump and are liberal or Democratic, what the fuck is wrong with the Democratic Party that you can't find a fucking candidate that could fucking talk? Or doesn't have some crazy rap sheet?
But isn't that being an extremist of going, I hate Trump, I hate the Republicans, I hate Clinton, I hate the Democratic Party. I mean,
but I don't hate
somebody posts on my page
but I like
a Democratic thing and I'm going to unfollow you because I hate Democrats. That's fucking bananas to me.
Well, to me, this is the divisive nature of how the media and the two-party system are tearing us apart. They're tearing us apart.
I mean, since Trump got elected, I can't believe how many people put, even on, like, when I was on dating apps, Trump supporters swipe left. What?
Well, that's LA, but that's also the indoctrinated. Like, you have to understand. I have a breakdown of who owns what.
I know, you sent me 20.
Oh yeah, I sent you all of them. So from CNN and
Tommy
and
sends me all this stuff, and he's like, "You
the
need
New
to learn
York
this. You need to
Times.
know this." I feel like I got a fucking test coming up on Sunday, and I'm like, "Oh fuck."
But this is. So, there were some things that I didn't realize, and that, this is some. I will say, out of ignorance, I felt because I am black that I was safe to talk about racism as a black man,
Right.
because Black Lives Matter. But the reality is, for liberals, for white liberals, only white people sent me death threats. Only white people threatened to kill me and hurt my family. Only white people. Only white people.
Oh.
Every African American person that had sent me a message, I spent hours talking to people, and I explained myself. And I started off by apologizing because I said a lie in order to get the truth out.
Right.
And the ends justify the means.
Right.
Now, so I lost my track of thought. So
About Trump. So
no. I was getting to a point.
racism, or that you were black, you thought you.
Oh, I thought I was safe to speak because everyone in cancel culture is like, they cancel you if you're white.
Right.
And where everyone's like, Black Lives Matter, but it's not black conservative lives. And I don't even identify as conservative. I identify as probably moderate. Right. I'm accused of being, like, my guitar player is like uber liberal, dude. He would slit a baby's throat and bleed it out if he, for Hillary, if she told him to, like, that that's his thing. He's like, That's who he's for. And like, he doesn't care no matter what happens or what they do, as long as it's not Trump. And that's a lot of people. And that's okay. Yeah. And I'm like, and he called me and he had his things and he said what he said, and I support him and I support his statements. And the biggest thing is I support his right to free speech.
Right.
We don't have that. Black lives don't matter if you have a black conservative voice. And so you are canceled. So and then it went as far as one of the publications accused me of anti-Semitism because I called out a billionaire who on Dateline and 60 Minutes did interviews where he said the happiest moments of his childhood were when he was with his uncle who was in the SS, right? His adopted uncle who was an SS Nazi member, right, when they were stealing properties and homes from the Jews who had just been sent to concentration camps. And then after the fact, he was asked, "Do you believe in God?" And he laughed and said no. So so basically, there's this whole like arc of now, if you're black and you speak up, you can't say you're racist because you're black, and that would it bursts the bubble, the liberal bubble of their whole campaign of silencing anyone who speaks up against them. So then they have to go into the guise of anti-Semitism because I mentioned this billionaire who is not Jewish, and is a Nazi sympathizer. And it's like, it's madness. It's so, and like,
That may or may not have fucking
yeah.
torn Russia apart.
The Ukraine. So, you know, there's like, if you look at, if you go online and you look up, you know, the changing of the guard, like the changing of power in Ukraine in 2004, and you research the whole history, the exact same thing's happening in America in
One
2020.
common denominator.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this with Trump. Do you think his, because I agree, whoever his advisor is, he should not be on fucking Twitter for 1 second of the day.
He doesn't
But
listen to his advisor,
he sure
clearly.
doesn't.
That guy's got to have the worst job. He's sweating, constantly sweating.
Do you think he calls
my
him
God.
sir, or he goes, Don, check it out. Don. Donnie, buddy, listen
He needs
to me.
he needs a homie. Like,
He needs someone to go, Donnie, check it out.
That
dude.
could be your
Nothing
job.
respect for you. Don't
Like,
fucking post that.
Hey,
you know?
kid, bro.
Dude, check it out.
Just get like a mass hole to move in with him. Like, bro.
Kid, what the fuck are you doing? You can't post that shit.
Yeah.
But do you think that his actions have been that of making America great? Has he done things that no president's been able to do, even though he is not the brightest motherfucker? Like, that's not who I'm copying my homework off of, is Donald Trump. But has he, as a president, done things to benefit the American people?
Look, Donald Trump is a public relations nightmare. Okay? He's like, you know, and I think, you know, there was a decision at one point where he could have been like, when he became president, where he was like, am I gonna treat the media with dignity and respect and like figure out how we're gonna get through this thing together, like what Obama would do? And for some reason he was just like, nah, fuck this. He's like the meme where the guy throws the papers, and he just went rogue, and and I'm like, you know, as an American, you know, who I just want him to stop. I'm like, dude, do what you're doing for the economy. I mean, you can't deny the fact that the economy before COVID was the best that it's been in our lifetime. So because he's a businessman, and he also he's making foreign trade deals that are in our best interest. The other thing is, we're not at war.
Right.
Like, if you look at the presidents of the past, 20 years, like, everybody's got this war, that war, that war. There's no war going on. Yeah. The war that's going on is a civil war.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's being played out in our homes with our family members and our neighbors, and it's very strange.
I'll tell you what I don't respect either is, I guess there's a difference between apologizing and there's a difference between backpedaling, and I feel like there's been both, and a lot more backpedaling than apologies. Like, how do you feel about this, the general that was there with the president when they took the picture in front of the church, and now he's going on to state that he made a mistake and he shouldn't have been there and this and that.
What do you mean, the general, when he held up the Bible?
Yeah, when he held up the Bible in front of the church.
I didn't even see the general, and I just don't care.
But but
Look,
that's the thing, is like, how come there's some shit you do care about, some shit you don't? It's like, why are some people will post something and then, dude, this is what's fucking frustrating me, is that so many people are posting shit, and then as soon as it's fuck you or this and that, then they're going, you know what? What I meant was in backpedaling, right?
Well,
and it's like, hey man, stay to
is
your guns. It's like when we said about being racist, something. Be racist and
be what
fucking
you
go
are.
all in. You want to riot? Go all in, right?
Yeah.
I support at least you're standing behind.
And
what
listen,
you are.
if you're going to look, and this is the thing too, if you're gonna play the game and you're gonna manipulate, like what I did was very manipulative, and so I rectified the manipulation. I'm like, look, this is what's up, this is that. Also, the problem is that I left disclaimers. I said, I'm not a politician. I'm not a political science major. I'm not a sociologist. This is all on the internet, and this is the real situation. If the marker video is wrong, there's a serious issue with misinformation being on the internet, right? If the marker video is true, holy
Ruh-roh.
fucking shit.
Right.
It's utterly, unconscionably, disgracefully, irrevocably, unabashedly unacceptable. Period. So whichever one it is, we got a fucking problem, bro. We got a problem.
White
It's a lot
privilege.
of words.
White privilege.
Well, what does it feel like?
Motherfucker, I'm an ex-con. But I'm also a veteran. I have veteran privilege in some circles, and then I have fucking will tase you if you don't get on the floor in others. And then
I have
also,
heavy metal privilege.
Yeah. All right. Dude, another thing that I don't love personally, and maybe it's not cool, but is how many black people, mainly mixed, that I will see explaining in videos to their white friends of what they need to do and how to support Black Lives Matter, and this is how you need to be white, and it's like,
yeah, I don't know.
So
I said this because I knew that certain political parties were going up for appeals on Blackout Tuesday, and I refused to comply with a social media blackout for a cause when what it's really going on is it's like everyone is deciding to not be on social media where the truth could come out. And I posted a picture of me holding up an American flag with the blue line through it because I support law enforcement.
But everyone could have put a square, and still the whole country would be like this, just scrolling through and liking black
squares. Yeah,
I don't know.
Well,
that
a lot of
any
major companies that didn't post the black square they're losing their business.
Backlash.
Yeah, they're getting destroyed. So even Starbucks, because they're not allowing employees to wear Black Lives Matter stuff, they're trying to I'm like, dude, Starbucks is. I'm sure that the DNC owns some piece of Starbucks, and you're still screwing with your own brands. Okay.
These are the kind of things that, man, and it's like I don't know how I feel about so many things where it's just like I know people, and it's like, dude, you can't last week have had a conversation with me on the phone and jokingly said the N-word, and then this week have all this Black Lives Matter and making TikToks with what you can do and where you can donate. Dude, shut the fuck up. Just go back to having no clue or whatever it was. Don't try to be the best Black Lives supporter member all of a sudden. But then am I wrong? Because, the Boston Strong thing after the marathon, did more people start giving a fuck about Boston because that was crazy?
Yeah,
so
same thing with 9/11 in New York. Same thing with Vegas Strong after the Vegas massacre.
Right.
And
that's what's made the most sense to me with when people say all lives matter, and it's like that's true. It was Boston Strong. We stand with Vegas. So yes, at the moment, it's this Black Lives Matter movement, which I think is important. I'm not discrediting that, but I guess I don't know.
I would like to see a Black Lives Matter movement where the money goes to the African American community.
Right.
That's the problem. It's not that the marching is wrong. It's not that the cause is wrong. It's not that there's outrage. It's not that we've gotten to a place where we have to make serious changes to the system. It's that all the things that are important about it are being used for a bunch of rich white people to extract money from the country to fuel their campaign.
I feel like on a personal level where it starts with me and the next person, because if I just start going, where do I donate here and how this? If I now educate myself and start to do work on myself and find out what led me to racism, what led me to hate and being full of hate and rage and all this shit, and then I start to become a better human being.
Well, let's answer that question. What leads to racism?
For me personally,
on both sides.
I heard my dad, my grandfather, it was okay to say the N-word, to say these other words that were racist, if you will, that I won't mention, but we all know them. And it was okay to say that, joking around. It was okay to say it with my friends. Now, I grew up in a predominantly white, middle to upper class town just north of Boston, and we had what was called the Metco system, which was they would bus inner city black kids.
Yeah, we had that.
They would come to our school. Now, what that did was
I had segregated lunch.
Yeah,
they separated the white kids and the black kids in two different cafeterias.
That's
as early
they
as
did that like in South
in
Boston
the
with the bus
in the
and
1980s.
Yeah. But with us, it was like, it brought culture. It brought us like this. Oh, kids from the city and this and like it was. It gave us a sense of like, oh, look how cool we are because we know a black kid from the city, right? But when they were there, it was cool and you did whatever. After school was when you were with your friends and you're like, hey, the fucking this and talking shit again, right? And I'll never forget in 5th grade, however I learned the N-word, but I learned it and I said it to a group of kids. And I remember them chasing me around the school until one of them finally caught me and beat my ass. But that's when I realized at such a young age that I did it because it was such an adrenaline thing, right? Hence motorcycles, the military, prison, anything mostly in my life that's been fueled. So this is at such a young age that this gave me a, oh, I got a reaction. Same reason why I threw rocks at cars when I was a kid. I don't want you to keep driving. I want you to stop and get out, and maybe I'm going to get caught, maybe not, right? So as time went on, then I go to the military, and the military is very, yes, my brothers in arms, but it's still the Spanish guys are with the Spanish guys, the black guys, the white guys, for the most part, from what I saw. And I really only had one or two black guys in my entire company. And then moving out of the military and going to prison, what prison did was gave me this place to be even fake, more fake tough guy than I was. It gave me this platform to get tattoos, to be segregated, to claim that I'm a white supremacist, and anything I can do to just further the status of I'm fucking white and proud and, just full of shit, dude. I was fucking scared. I was terrified inside, and I didn't want anyone to know that. So whatever I have to do do I have to join the Hells Angels? Do I have to join how do I join the AB? All this shit seems so fucking cool to me, and it's I'm the master fucking white. And then when I got sober, dude, it was just the same reason why I didn't like you if you were gay. If you weren't, if you weren't from the city of Boston, which I was from a town, and all I ever cared about was to be from the city. And I finally got a seat at the South Boston table in state prison, and that was it, dude. I had arrived. That's all I ever needed on my fucking my credibility.
That sounds very privileged.
Yeah. And then what happened was I got sober, and it was I need to lay out the facts. What makes me racist? Why do I hate? Why do I harbor so much hate in my heart? And really, it was learned behavior. It was stuff that was okay, what I saw in my area, and then my own unprocessed trauma. And once I started to address and deal with all that stuff is when I realized how many connections I wasn't making in life, how many people I had cut off because of your race, religion, creed, sexual identity, and how small-minded and how small my circle was. And since losing that ideology, now I have so many friends and so many networks, and it never, to me, I don't meet somebody now and go, here's a black guy, maybe I'll be friends with him. I meet somebody and it's just oh, hey, I'm Shane, you're so-and-so, nice to meet you. I don't care. The day that I thought I would have transgender friends, black friends, it just doesn't matter to me anymore. And it really came down to I had to lay out the facts, and I didn't have enough to support my beliefs. If I'm a rational human being, I can't I feel a lot of racism is just this looks cool because of where I'm from.
Now,
right?
let me ask you a question. Can those same principles that extinguish hate from your heart and allow your circle to grow big enough to be all-inclusive to everyone apply to people who are exclusively Republican or Democratic? And that's the real issue. The new hate crime is being on a political side.
Right.
And we are not being open-minded, and we are shutting and casting people out. We are writing them off and criticizing them. And there is a lot of good critical thinkers on both sides of the party. And this is the problem. This is the divisive nature of what the media is doing. This is a new form of institutionalized racism. Racism, the new racism is blue. It's there's this narrative that all police are racist. Right. And we can go through the stats. We can go down the line. And honestly, the numbers are not in favor of the narrative because what do we know? Twice as many white people are killed by police officers than black. 30% more Hispanic people are killed by police officers than African Americans. And then you also have to disseminate too how many people are killed without a weapon versus with a weapon, so out of every year, there are over 3 million altercations between law enforcement and the public. 3 million. And then you have to stack that up with how many people are shot and killed each year. And I'm not going to recite the numbers because I'm tired of you motherfuckers, lazy, stupid, ignorant, slothful morons Go online, look at I'm not your dad.
Yeah.
I'm not here to tell you what side you're supposed to be on.
Yeah.
I don't care who you vote for.
Pick up a phone and type in Google.
Pick up a phone and type in Google.
That's it.
That's the thing. It's like I think one of the things I was criticized most for with the video was not one of my closest friends. What he was so indignant about the marker video was the way that it portrayed the Democratic Party. And I'm like, so you didn't care that I said racism doesn't exist and it's manufactured. The most offensive part isn't the thing that affected you. The thing that affected you is this. You're taking votes away from getting rid of Trump.
Right.
And so your hatred, and this is the thing, we have to talk about hatred. Is your hatred for Trump so blinding and so valuable that you're willing to sacrifice your own people, freedom of speech, sovereignty, and our dignity? You can't, it's like, and once you take hate for anything out of the equation, you start to see what's going on. I don't hate anybody. I don't. I don't like seeing bullshit.
Yeah.
You know? And I put myself in front of a firing squad to say, hey, this is bullshit. And it was misunderstood and misquoted. And it was like, you ever see Stand By Me?
Yeah, of course.
You know when Lard asked Logan, he
Chow down, wide load.
Yeah, he makes himself sick, and then he enters the pie eating contest, and then barfs on the next guy, and then everyone starts vomiting on each other, and he just sits back after all the years of the bullshit, and he's like, "That's what it is." So cool. You guys want to fucking do all this, throw hate around, do all this bullshit. You know, you want to manipulate. They're constantly manipulating everything and turning stories around. Well, here you go. Here's a story. Have a good one. Enjoy. 37 million people in less than 5 days. And I've gotten calls from my black book and my phone is filled with microbiologists, oncologists, doctors. I've had celebrities that are so, like, some of the most influential people. I've had people in the entertainment industry who don't want a record of them calling my phone and call my attorney.
Found the only pay phone in town.
They call my attorney and have me patched in to tell me how brave what I did was.
Yeah.
And that's 99% of any of the interactions that I'm having. You know, and the reality is that we should be, and whether or not you agree with what I say, or whether or not you agree what you say, or what anyone from the right or the left or the middle it doesn't matter. We are losing the First Amendment. We're losing our sovereign right to free speech. It's our God-given right.
And that's the thing is that, hey man, if you want to watch CNN and you believe everything on CNN, believe
you
them.
should
Follow Fox.
I support
if you don't
that.
like this podcast and you don't like what we would have to hit, you don't have to listen to it. You know what I mean?
Well, it's become the trading of information is now, you know, if it's against the masters, the owners, it has to be snuffed out, because we cannot have Americans thinking for themselves. It is a critical time. We cannot have this. We let them do it 4 years ago, and look what they did. Look at the deplorables. We would anyone who didn't go to this one side were considered white trash deplorables. What about black conservatives? What about Asian conservatives? What about Muslim conservatives? Why is it that people are not seeing what's really going on here? What is white privilege? What is it? What is it? It is, I'll say what the concept of white privilege is, that because you were born white, you inherited special privileges as an American. Now, this concept of white privilege is used as a mute button for any white person who questions the narrative. You don't understand it's white privilege. So you have an entire movement that is empowering that. So you have Black Lives Matter saying we have to end racism at any cost. But you're using the word race, you're misusing the word racism, and you've created the term white privilege in order to silence a group of people based on their race from expressing their First Amendment right. So you're trading one kind of racism for another and then saying, well, you can't be racist if you're black. You most certainly can. Anyone can be racist against anyone else. And that entire ideology that they are spoon feeding you fucking idiots and you're eating it like porridge. Oh, yes, this one's too hot. This one's too cold. This one's just right. It's bullshit, and you're a fucking moron.
So does white privilege, the term, go in the same box as my truth, or are those separate boxes?
It's both. It's fake.
Right, so they're in the same
So
box, right?
white privilege doesn't exist, doesn't, to me, and this is the headline that Tommy Vick says white privilege doesn't exist. Look,
and if it does, there's got to be levels to it because, like, I'm not getting the same treatment.
Privilege is based on money.
Social state, yes.
Monetary privilege.
Right.
So if you're born into a wealthy family, you have privileges. As Americans, every American is born with American privilege because of the freedoms that we have in the Constitution, because of the people who fought and died for it, white and black.
Quick shout out to the Army. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Hoo-ha. We're suffering from our privilege. We are traumatized by our privilege.
And that in turn is what makes people feel ashamed. I should be ashamed that
I'm
white.
I'm
not.
No, but that's what I'm telling.
These are the people that start going, oh shit, well I guess, I got to be ashamed that this. I got to be upset that I didn't grow up in the hood and I got to be.
It's a psyop.
Like, hey,
it's a psychological CIA form of civilian psychological warfare.
To address real quickly that I forgot because I explained the backstory to the racism, but if it starts at a personal level of me now having these beliefs, now I am able to have black friends, do this and make other people aware and hope that's why it's like, can one person be a voice of change?
Of course.
Because when I go and talk to other guys that have struggled with this same thing and it makes sense to them.
But you have to look at my position. I'm an African American. I'm in one of the biggest new metal rock bands in the world, right? I'm Billboard's #1 artist in active rock 2 years in a row. On Monday, they will announce that I have my 5th #1 song at Active Rock Radio, and I'm African American. These things would not be possible if racism was as prevalent as it was 30, 20, 30, 40 years ago. But the music community, music is a language where all people come together. It's a unifier. It doesn't segregate.
Right.
Okay, so you have hip hop being the #1 driving most financially lucrative form of music in the world, and it's African American, and there are not enough African Americans to constitute the sales. So it's a lot of white people and Asian people and Hispanic people who are all buying this music as well. So when we look at music as a unifier, it literally extinguishes our segregation. And what I do in my material is I just tell the truth. I talk about what I know. I talk about my experience, and whatever experiences I'm having, it seems like a lot of people are having the same problems. And in America, if we break it down and we talk about what everyone's going through, especially in 2020, like, look, the coronavirus, it didn't care at what race you were. It didn't care how much money you had. It just wanted to kill you. So for a blinking moment, we had this pandemic that, oh shit, we're all in danger.
Yeah.
We're all in trouble here.
It's the same thing with addiction. I mean, I'm a white kid from the suburbs, and a lot of my friends are dead from heroin. It is not just an inner city or you live under a bridge.
Well, dude, we've talked about the opioid crisis and how much, like, more people have died of heroin and opioids in the past 2 years than in the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
And we're not talking, and like, those are staggering. Like, dude, if you compare those numbers to COVID-19 and then you multiplied it, it wouldn't even come close. You could multiply it by years and it wouldn't even fucking come close. And it's not, and it doesn't get the attention that it needs. And you know, I'm engaging in nonprofits, and I'm doing all this stuff. The next format and mode is to attack the opioid crisis. You know, it's just that, you know, we're amongst all this shit that's going on, you know. And so, yeah, it's a fucking weird time, man. But I don't if you're black, you know, don't be ashamed of being black. If you're white, don't be ashamed of being white. If you're gay, don't be ashamed. Don't be ashamed of anything that you are. Nobody has a right to make you feel ashamed of anything that you are. That is it is your right to be whoever you are and believe what you believe and love who you love and do what you do. And that is what makes America great. America is great. It's when I'm making it great again. The great thing about this country is you can be whoever the fuck you want. And do you, and mind your fucking business. Don't worry about what I'm doing. Don't worry. Everybody's the internet.
So fucking worried.
Well, it's an internet of nosy neighbors. The Karen culture is like, you know, everybody feels like, well, they're not, you know, and it's like you don't realize that you've been indoctrinated to police your own people, and this is a communist Marxism mentality. So in countries like China or other communist countries, they influence the population so to a place where they cannot think for themselves, and that they have manipulated these psychological scripts that anyone who has an independent thought must be disposed of, because there will be penalties or they're causing danger. Look at COVID-19. If you go outside, you're killing grandmas. You're a murderer. You're a murderer. You're going to kill people. You're going to fucking do this. We got to flatten the curve. On and on and on, months and months and months. What about the economy? What about the economy? What are we going to do? People are losing their jobs. People are committing suicide. People are so scared to go to the hospital. They're dying of other things because they won't go get help. Meanwhile, the hospitals are fucking empty. Then a cop kills a guy, and he kills this man. He murdered him. It was horrible. It's fucking horrible. And those police officers should go to jail, and I think that Derek Chauvin should get the death penalty. That's my official stance. Mm-hmm. He murdered that man, and he should get the death penalty, and then that should be a symbol that this kind of behavior is unacceptable anymore.
He should go to maximum security gen pop.
No, well, that is a death penalty. So anyway, so we have COVID, and we're all grandma killers if we go outside, and we're part of the problem, and we're vilified. And right, our own community is doing this to us because they are taking the information from the news and not from science. And then the riots, the murder happens, and immediately there are riots. There were millions of people in the streets fighting, burning, looting, protesting, and attacking each other for 2 weeks almost, all across the nation. And that was 3 weeks ago. And the incubation period for COVID-19 is 14 days. And no one is sick. Where the fuck are all the sick people? It makes me crazy. It makes me fucking so upset.
Put your fucking mask on.
Anyway, yeah, that's it. Put your mask on and take a knee.
That's it.
Servitude, servility. Yeah,
Put your
of course.
Fucking mask on.
Yo, and so listen, if I see one white person kneel at my feet and not suck my dick, no, it's just like it's crazy. People are like, get the fuck out of here with this shit. Man. Like, yo, don't just give me $5. Just stay on your feet. Yeah, if you see me walking around, if you feel so guilty about being white, just give me $1.
Get my fucking head nod and keep it pumping.
Yeah,
what's up, Tommy? Good to see you. Fuck off.
Stop this shit. This insanity. It's in.
Matter of
it's
fact, bring some
fucking
sneaker
insanity.
cleaner with you. You know what I mean? Might dust the J's up
Like
today.
that's what I'm saying. Look at these. I got a black spot right here. It's
I know,
like,
but those are
God.
still looking fresh. You've had those for a hot second.
Yeah. Well, I kept them. I like to keep it clean.
Come on, bro. Who are you talking to?
I mean,
You know?
I have those too. But
I know
anyway,
you
Anyway,
do.
did you see the Nancy Pelosi memes of Black Panther, but it's Black Panther in the letters? Oh yeah, it's like
That's the next wave.
No, it's just insanity. I'm like, dude, what is going on?
It's all insane, man. Look, dude, fucking just try to be better today than you were yesterday, everybody.
Yeah.
You know, do something nice for somebody, no matter what. Black, white, gay, straight, fucking, they can do a backflip, can't do a backflip. Just try to be a better person.
Stop arguing on the goddamn on the internet.
Stop commenting. Who even has time to fucking comment on? I watch so many videos.
You can't
and
go
so
anywhere.
many things, and never once do I go, "This is funny," and I need to type this out.
Well, this
What?
is the most interesting thing out of all of the messages. No one at any point in time sent me. I literally asked for someone to disprove the marker theory.
Yeah.
And out of the 37 million people who saw the video, I still cannot find any human person that can disprove the conspiracy theory.
That's when the answer goes, "You're a fucking idiot." Oh,
Yeah,
okay, cool.
Yeah, but I was. Look, I found.
Prove me.
I found
Show
this
that I am.
information, and I'm not saying it's my opinion. I just found it, and I'm like, dude, if this is fucking real, holy fucking shit. And if this is not real, holy shit. Like, what is going on the internet right now? I mean, there's lots of wild shit. There's lots of crazy shit. There's, some people are like, there's aliens, and some people are like, there's pedophiles everywhere, and some people are like, oh, there's Satanists. I'm like, it's fucking madness. It's madness. But when it came to this, I was like, this actually makes sense. But let me see if anybody knows if this is bullshit. And my most diehard liberal friends got nothing from me. They're just upset. They're upset because of the way that the information paints their party. And I'm like, I don't care about the party. I care about America. I don't care who the fucking president is. I mean, at this point, why are we stuck voting between the Democrats and the Republicans? Like,
That's what my stance on voting. Give me someone to vote for.
Yeah, Joe Rogan and fucking
Rock.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Then you'll have me.
And then, dude, let's
Otherwise,
just fucking
get
do
a
this thing.
fucking poodle and a chihuahua, and it's the same fucking difference.
Yeah, and their
to me.
whole slogan could just be "Stop the goddamn bullshit,
Yeah.
2020."
Let's stop fucking about.
Like, seriously.
All right, guys. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Anchor FM at Deviant Gentleman Podcast. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook, Deviant Gentleman, Tommy's personal page at Tommy Vext, my personal page at Shane.Vitko. DeviantGentleman.com. You can order merch. You can find all our links.
We're gonna get some new shirts up.
Yeah, we got some stuff in the works. Me and Tommy been
Some parental advisory
yeah,
shirts.
me and Tommy been in the basement fucking with sewing machines and all kinds of shit, and
We do our
all
own
day.
labor. Yeah, we don't outsource to China. Fuck that shit. Made in
Um,
America.
Yeah, well, fucking A, man. There's so much shit we didn't get to, too. So maybe we'll do a part 2 to this.
Yeah, maybe.
We didn't do defunding the police. We didn't, there's so much.
Yeah, good luck with that.
fucking
Yeah.
Chaz
Good luck.
Zone up in Seattle. Were the Hells Angels and the Mongols on their way? No.
That's a bet. That would have been, Dana
it'd be
White
so
should have got
fucking
involved
sick.
in that one
Yeah.
and made sure it happened.
Right,
Like,
right.
he's like on pay-per-view, and the Mongols and the Hells Angels teamed up for the first time
Take
in
on
40
Chaz
years.
and Antifa.
Yeah.
Live.
On pay-per-view, and just like Vince McMahon shows up, and they're like, they just set up a ring. It's a Royal Rumble for the ages.
All right, guys. There it is. You heard the fucking timer. We love you. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week.
Yeah.